The next slide is a lot more dystopian, you could say. It's called The Power of Persuasion, and it is pretty heavy. So let's have a look at this, because this is the last slide, slide 10 of this four-part series. And first of all, we see vision. We see an empty book when you said vision, because people need to write in that empty book their vision, don't they? Choose a compelling narrative. All through this slide, you will notice the lack of them choosing truth and honesty as a compelling narrative. And lots of people believe that truth and honesty is the only narrative that is compelling. And that problem we have in our society is everywhere. This is everywhere. Choose a compelling narrative. They choose a narrative that will compel you, but the narrative is not true. Loads of people will say then, oh no, but the means suited the ends. We got something good out of it in the end. But really, you keep knocking away at truth and honesty, and you get weird. You live in a weird culture all of a sudden. We're in the weird culture. Choose a compelling narrative. That's how they start. That's how they start this off with. They want to choose a compelling narrative. Oh, how to persuade. Look, this arrow goes directly into the brain. How to persuade. How to persuade. How to tell the truth. How to be honest. No, how to persuade. Now, you only need to persuade if someone doesn't feel like it's true or it's real. That's when you need to persuade, and that's what they're looking at. That's the moment when they need to persuade, and that's what they're saying straight away. How to persuade. Easy, concrete examples. That is understandable. If we want to explain anything to anybody, you need easy, concrete examples. Not necessarily will those easy, concrete examples be true. Those examples can be cherry-picked, of course, as we will see later on. There's methods to that, but there's also strategies and ways to do these things. Clear success metrics. So to understand what the people want, what they consider success, or what success looks like internally and externally, maybe in business or in government or just an individual self, what success looks like and how to measure it. Then you can decide how you can manipulate the measurement of that as much as possible. Because that's what we see them do all the time. They create the metrics and then they force feed you garbage that looks metrically satisfying, but it's not true, is it? Examples you can share. Well, examples, a lot of people will be persuaded with the power of persuasion to share examples that they think back up their argument and not share ones that don't back up their argument. We all know this. We all know this. But you've got to be honest. Honest and truth and trust. Is that what we're aiming for? Don't think so. A clear plan. Well, yeah, you need a clear plan, don't you? They need a clear plan. That's why they're mapping out now. They're training up their people. They're brainstorming it, and they're going to come back with a clear plan. And we are going to be left behind if we don't have a clear response to their plan. And we can't see their plan coming, which is what they really go by nowadays. So create a sense of urgency. This is really important. You have to create a sense of urgency. And we hear this and we think, oh, marketing words, but create a sense of urgency. That means to manipulate people into believing that they have to do something now or else. Just like Brexit, they created a sense of urgency. Just like coronavirus created a sense of urgency. Just like Ukraine-Russia war create a sense of urgency. They are creating a sense of urgency, but is that sense of urgency true? Is it honest? You'll find nearly every time that they create a sense of urgency, that they persuade, they use metrics, they share examples, that it is not true. It is not true. What they're trying to get you to believe is not true. It's just there to distract you. What you want to hear is more important than what I want to say. Think about that. It's very cleverly worded, but what you want to hear So if we tell you what you want to hear, it's more important than what I want to say. So if I want to say something, but you won't listen to it, then I should tell you something else so you'll hear me. Then you'll trust my voice and you'll let my voice in the second time. That's how you manipulate people. That's how you lie to people. That's how you deceive people. That's what these people are going for. That's exactly what these people are going for. These guys are all about persuasion and deception. What you want to hear is more important than what I want to say. Straight away down here as well, you got. No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go down a bit in a bit, but you wanna wait for that because honestly, it's pretty horrific. Um, we are natural storytellers. Listening. We are naturally. We sit around a campfire and we tell stories. We tell stories to give people moral and ethical backbone of some kind, an education on what you will feel like if something happens here or something happens there. But doesn't mean that the stories are true. Now, back around the fire that they're alluding to with this image, back around the fire when these people would be sitting around and they would be talking about stories, would they believe them to be accurate and true, or would they believe them to be metaphorical? Now, it's really hard to believe from what we're given as the idea of the people in the past that they would understand that they were anything but true. But in actual fact, most people probably saw all stories as metaphorical, and we should do today when the story is given to us with no evidence. But we are natural storytellers, it's true. Okay. It's emotion, passion, puppets on the string. So let's go up here first. Now this is really interesting. They say straight away, right? Um, they say down here, tell a story, and you think about telling a story, tell a story in a headline. Think about that. And they've got this mock-up of the New York Times over there. So who's telling the story? Government telling the story in the headline? Is business telling the story in the headline? So they got control of the headlines? Is that what you're suggesting? Or is you just saying, when you try telling a story in a headline, when you try using just a headline, go on, sit around and write examples of how you would tell an entire story in a headline. President dead, shot in the head. And you told a story. Did you? Did you just say just one thing that, or two things that happened? President went to square, shot in head, man arrested. You got a bit of a story there, but still, they will be in control of the headlines. They will be in control of all of those things. So down here, interestingly, used the Twitter logo. They used a little tweeting bird in this part of their presentation. Interesting because some of the WEF related businesses have, of course, attempted a minor boycott of Twitter, half-hearted as it is, to say, Elon Musk took over, we've got to do this. We're creating a narrative that he's on one side and we're on the other side. Yet we say basically the same thing all of the time. So you've got the tweeting bird here, and it says focus, and that's focusing on a certain area, focusing on a correct way, and communicate with people, which is, of course, obviously important. As you saw with the maybe telling a story through a headline. Brevity, so concise, exact use of words is important because they like to be concise because then they can convince you it's one thing, but their concision is incised yourself. No, they are able to trick you into signing stuff and agreeing to stuff that can be worded in a way that sounds good but then isn't so beneficial once enacted. Again, metrics is in there, so understanding how many people are liking or disliking what you want, how many people are involved, other things. That's massively important to see how to lead people. And community, there you go. Using a community to get your to persuade people is massively important. So nearly every community that gets built up that's honest becomes corrupt in no time whatsoever. Why? Because these guys are in control. These guys are the ones who have taken and co-opted loads of different communities so that they can use them as marketing campaigns. Use them for marketing. That's it. Up here, now this is where I find it gets really interesting. All of this gets really interesting when you get to the powers of persuasion and this very. I mean, you've seen all of the other, except for maybe there's like out of it, there's probably 4 fairly relatively small slides and 6 really big slides. But the really big slides, if you're talking about the power of persuasion, they got loads of tools for this. And look how empty it is. They put trust and truth up here. Now they put trust within brevity because that might be linked, concise and exact use of words linked to trust, but isn't linked to truth. Truth is up here all alone with nothing underneath it. Truth just sits there alone in the World Economic Forum charts. Interesting that there's nothing really underneath it. Trust, use evidence and examples. Order your arguments. So that's what they want you to do. They want you to order your arguments. Use evidence and examples. Yes, but are those examples, is that evidence carefully selected evidence? Are the examples carefully chosen examples? Order your arguments. But eventually your arguments will be challenged. So under power legitimacy, you've got authority and facilitation. So what can you do? What can you do? And facilitation, what can you get done? It makes you legitimate in this world, which makes sense to an extent. That's always been the way. What can you get done and what can you do? Those are the things that really make you top notch or not. Especially women history. Prepare, they say prepare, but they're losing words. They haven't got words. They've got even some things that don't have anything there. They've not put them in there. Why not? They're too hard. It's too hard for what they're trying to explain. Eventually, they've just got to be honest. You'll see what their honesty looks like. People-centric. People-centric. Know your audience. Yeah, so your powers of persuasion and your preparation, your listening, all of it has got to lead to knowing your audience. There's experts, there's general, and then anticipate the counter argument. So know your expert audience, know your general audience, and anticipate the counter arguments. That's all well and good, but let's get to it. Here we go, the last part of this Bursting the Davos Bubble, and it should say a lot about what they're training people. Emotion and passion is there, and all of this other stuff. And what the one thing they want from it all? Empathy. This one part here, I think, is really massively important to understanding who they are. Manipulation. And they want to talk about this just in their training slides, just having a conversation about empathy and manipulation. There is a science to manipulation. So they train their people. There's a good science to manipulation, and there are techniques. Facts don't matter. And you've got the little puppet on the string over there. Just above, we are storytellers. What you want to hear is more important than what you want to say. True emotion and passion with just a heart. Truth all on its own up here. Vision, create a compelling narrative, not choose a compelling narrative. All of it leads to manipulation. In fact, all 10 slides in this series lead to manipulation. And as they say, they're correct as well. There is a science. And the science of manipulation means that when people enact that science, when people conspire, that's what they're doing. They create a conspiracy. That's it, conspiracy fact. They're manipulating things, bunch of people together, they're conspiring to do something, and they'll use the science of manipulation to do it. It's a real thing, a thing they talk about too. And there are techniques, yes, there are techniques to manipulate people. And that's what they do. They manipulate people all over. All of the rest of this is really to get down to that. All of the rest of this is to really get down to the fact that you're going to use all of these different tools and you're going to manipulate your guys. What's the last slide? The power of persuasion.
Shaping a great reset for the post-Corona era.